Ladies, is it possible that your spirituality is lying to you about your marriage? I'm Melissa Keenan. I'm an intimacy coach. I help women and couples to create the intimacy of their dreams. And what really excites me about this topic is that when I watch a client go from this spiritual deceit in their marriage to a place where they're in this full acceptance and they actually see things as they really are, they find such a deeper level of purpose and fullness in their experience in this life, and they find deeper intimacy with their partner. It's so cool to watch. So I want to talk about this. I want to sort of walk you through this from start to finish about how sometimes our spirituality can lie to us about what's really going on in our marriage. So, spirituality to me is everything. If you've been following me for very long, then you'll know that about me. For me, I use terms like God and Heavenly Mother, Heavenly Father, and Jesus Christ. Those are all beings that are so important to me. My whole life since I was a little girl, I've just loved Jesus and I've wanted to be close to him, and I've just felt that. I've just felt that draw and that pull. And so that's where my spirituality has been born. And it still means everything to me. I feel like throughout my journey, my eyes have been opened, more and more layers have been shed. Some of the rules and structure that I got from religion have sort of fallen off, and it's been replaced with just a beautiful integrity experience of spirituality. That's how I approach my whole life. It's everything. It's why I have a business. It's why I'm a mom. It's why I work so hard in my marriage. It's everything to me. And so I wanted to share that with you because my guess is that those people who this message really resonates with have some kind of similar convictions, whether it's about Christ or some other deity, or just about the universe or whatever. It's that deep connection to the fact that there is so much more beyond what we see, these walls that are before us day to day. And it just excites me. I just love that. I'm so grateful for those awarenesses, because without that, I don't think I would still be here on the planet. Like, I cannot exist without spirituality. So it's everything. And, I'll never forget the day that I realized how much damage my twisted view of spirituality actually did in my marriage. If I could just get really real with you guys for a minute. I had not been living in integrity with myself. So when I really looked at my husband, there was always something better that he could be doing. I was harsh on him, and I thought that I was doing it from a place of love. I thought that that's what he needed. I thought that that's actually kind of was my wifely duty, was like, side by side, we're supposed to grow together, right? So I'm supposed to help and correct him and mold him, and he's going to do the same to me, right? Of course, I did not want that. and one day really realizing, wait a minute, I've been doing this all wrong. It was like scales fell from my eyes, and I went to my husband and I actually got on my knees and I grabbed his hands and I was in tears and I said, I am so sorry. I have not seen you. I've not seen you. And what's amazing to me is in that moment, I also saw myself more clearly for the first time. Because what I've learned about spiritual people is that if we're holding others around us to a really high standard, it's because we're doing that to ourselves. We're holding ourselves to this really high impossible standard. So I share that, you guys, because I've been in this place. I've seen it, and now I've seen it time and time again in clients. And I think it's something that people aren't talking about enough. And I don't even know if I did a really good job of like capturing the people's attention who need to hear this. But all I can do is trust. I'm showing up here, and I'm just going to trust that if this message needs to be, reach your heart, that you're here for a reason, and that it's going to reach the hearts that it needs to reach. And that's all I can do, right? Because I think this needs to be talked about. And so I want to talk about the pitfalls that really spiritual women can tend to fall into. We'll just cover two today, two of the main pitfalls really spiritual women can fall into in their marriages. Thinking that it's exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Thinking that it's a part of their spiritual growth, their spiritual journey. And really, I think it's really not your spirituality lying to you, right? It's actually our misunderstanding of what we're experiencing here. So two of those things. One is this idea of avoidance or rejection. And I describe that from my own experience, right? It's what happens when we become so evolved as a person, and we look over at our spouse and he's not reading all the books and he's not doing all the things. And so this little judgment starts to creep in, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and justified. And we get to this point where we're like, I don't think this relationship is serving me anymore. My husband's not deep enough. He just doesn't have an interest in, growing or developing, or we can't have deep philosophical conversations. I even had a woman once say to me, I just can't be my fullest self around people who have limiting beliefs. And it took me back for a minute, because I was like, wait a second. What kind of spirituality is this, right? But I recognized her voice in myself. I was like, that's exactly what I used to do. That's exactly how I used to be. Like, look, you better grow with me, or else we're going to grow apart and this isn't going to work anymore. And I think we're missing the boat, you guys. True spirituality is about accepting the whole. And I'm going to go into that more. So that's our first pitfalls, where we get into this judgment. It's like we think it makes total sense in our mind, but seriously, we are judging like crazy, and there's nothing spiritual about it. Okay? And I would love to hear, if you're watching and you're listening and this resonates with you, there's no shame. I'm over here an open book. So if this resonates with you, I'd love to hear in the comments. The next pitfall that I see is this idea of complacency. And what's funny is we could fall into both simultaneously. I don't really know how that works. It's almost like our rosy colored glasses are on so strong that we wait until things get really bad before we're like, actually, I'm super judgy of you and I hate everything you're doing. Otherwise, we're like, all is well, things are fine. And everything's going to happen in just the right timing. And we're saying all this spiritual stuff, but deep inside, we feel sandpaper about our relationship. We're not listening to the sandpaper. What is the sandpaper about? It's your inner guidance. It's guiding you to something. So we put on these rosy colored glasses and we're like, no, it's fine. Like, no, he can't keep a job, but I know he's trying. And no, he doesn't really help out with the kids, but it's okay. And he's a good person. And so right, it's kind of two sides of the spectrum. And again, this is not true spirituality. A phrase that I hear often that goes along with this complacency and rosy-colored glasses is, just see them through God's eyes. Okay? And I think we have completely missed the boat on what that actually means. What does that mean, see someone through God's eyes? Do you think God's up there seeing only half the truth? Seeing only our perfection? Seeing only our light? Like, what kind of God would do that? What kind of father would do that? How on earth is he going to guide us? How on earth are we going to be guided through this universe if the God or the universe or whatever it is that's governing us has absolutely no clue about what we're struggling with? How are they going to guide us? That's so silly. Like God, the universe, whatever, sees us in wholeness. Wholeness, which means, so here's your key, you guys, to avoid these pitfalls. The key is wholeness. Wholeness means both our light and our shadow, our strengths and our weaknesses. So if we're going to try and see our husband through God's eyes, or see our husband as who he really is, this divine being that radiates through the universe, and the universe is inside of him, all these things that we believe, right? If we're going to actually see that, we cannot judge his darkness, and we cannot avoid his darkness. Just like we cannot judge our own darkness and we cannot avoid our own darkness. If we want to find that true spirituality, it's acceptance of the whole. The whole. When we're in acceptance of the whole, we know all the things. We are completely informed, and we are making informed, integritous decisions. So am I saying, oh, well, my husband has the weakness of beating me, and I accept him and I see him as he is, so I'm going to put up with it? No. Would that be an integrity for you? No. So we see the whole, and then we make decisions that are in integrity with us, with who we really are, right? If we are both whole people, it's like, wow. You know, say you're in that situation. Wow. Me as a whole person and you as a whole person, this isn't going to work. And so God bless you, and have a nice day, right? And we grow apart. And that is true spirituality, you guys. That is true acceptance, true wholeness. So we avoid complacency and rosy colored glasses. We avoid the avoidance pattern of our spouse and the rejection and judgment. We come into this place where we can see them clearly. And so if you want to take a little tool away from this, go home and journal about this. If you want to live in your fullness, and you're the kind of person like me who's like, I want to be in full impact on this planet. I want to be full in my spirituality. I want to experience all that God has for me, all that the stars and universe have co-conspired to create for my amazing life. That's the kind of people I work with. That's the kind of person I am. I'm guessing if you're still watching, that's the kind of person you are. If that's who you are, go do some journaling tonight and ask, what did the true eyes see? What did these whole eyes see about my husband and myself? And how does that change the way I approach my marriage? Go journal on that, because it's everything. It's everything. If this message has resonated with you, if you're hanging in here and you're still watching, of course, I'd love to hear in the comments. I didn't do a very good job of engaging the audience today. Just feel really passionate about this message, and I know it might be pushing some buttons for people. But you guys, if this resonates with you, I work with high-level women. I work with women who refuse to settle for less in their lives. They know what they want. They know who they are. They know where they're going. And they want to bring their husbands along. They want to have a full experience with intimacy and bring in that balance of feminine and masculine within themselves. They want a whole experience, the wholeness experience. If that resonates with you, I invite you to come and join us in my Facebook group. Just type me in the comments if that's something that calls to you, and we'll make sure a member of the team reaches out to you about getting you in there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you received a lot out of this. If nothing else, I hope you received a lot to think about, because we owe it to ourselves to actually step into true spirituality when it comes to our marriages. Bye, guys.